Hey everybody, welcome to the video. So today we're going to go over, or not going to go over, but we're going to talk about the Masters of the Universe Revolution that just dropped today. I've recorded some videos, but I think I'm going to play this one tomorrow, or so this should be Friday, just because it's relevant to the show. Instead of waiting, because it wouldn't be posted. If I took my queue of videos that I've already made, it wouldn't post for like another week and a half. So I'm going to post this one tomorrow, which is today for you guys. It's Friday. Because this is Thursday. I just watched it over lunch. I took my lunch break and I watched the first episode of Revolution on Netflix. So I've got 4 more to go. I'll probably watch 2 of them this evening after dinner, and then maybe I'll watch one tomorrow. My son's coming over the weekend. He may want to watch it. He watched the Revelations, but he may watch this one. But I'll finish it up. They did the same thing that they always do. Well, that they not always, but they did before. They give you the first 5 episodes, and then I'm assuming the second set of 5 to complete the 10 probably available in, I would say, the spring, maybe summer, I guess. That's fine. It gives you something to look forward to, so it kind of also keeps you from binging it all at once. First, a couple things before we get into it. There's going to be no spoilers. I only watched the first episode, and I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm just going to tell you my responses to things that I like and what I dislike. And yes, I'm not going to tear this one apart. So I'm not hating on anything new. I'm just saying there's things about it that I like, and there's things about it that I don't like. I would say, does one outweigh the other? Not really. Going into it, though, this is what's going to happen. No matter how good the story is, no matter how good everything is, first problem that I have, and I don't know if this is necessarily a problem, but this is just this is my subjective opinion, purely my opinion. This is just how I like to consume these TV shows. Is I like episodic episodes. Sure, everybody loves Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and Walking Dead, and everybody loves the linear storyline. And I know the linear storyline's pretty much what's rules the roost for most TV shows, whether animated or live action, for the last probably 15 years. But I really liked episodic episodes. It harkens me back to, say, the mid-2000s with Justice League Unlimited. Now, they had a couple of 2-parter with Justice League Unlimited, but by and large, I loved the episodic-ness of it. I loved how you would have the episode. It's like, oh, it's going to be the whatever, the Black Canary and Black Cat, or whatever his name is, the boxing guy, or the Green Arrow Black Canary, or whatever, the Wonder Woman episode, or whatever. I liked that, or the Villain of the Week. That was good, and I liked that, and that's why I really liked that show a lot. Sure, they had some linear things going on in it, but by and large, it was an episodic TV show. And going back to the original Filmations, same thing. It's an episodic TV show. It would have a villain of the week or villain of the day or whatever, because it was a syndicated show. Or it'd focus on a character, and then it would move on to the next episode. Now, I know you've only got 5 episodes, and you're only getting 5 episodes for months, so that seems problematic, sure, because just the way the design of modern TV shows has shifted with streaming. It's hard to do episodic, because especially if you're only getting 5 episodes in a dump. But here's the thing. I also find it kind of dumb that you would have that you want linear storylines so you can get them with that cliffhanger at the end, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, we got to tune into the next episode. That meant something when you had to wait a week. Or maybe we wait a day, most of the time it was waiting a week. You had to wait a week to the next week's episode to find out what happened, so you could think about it the whole time. But when you can binge watch the first 5 episodes, I it doesn't seem. It seems kind of pointless because it's just like I could just click on the next episode. It's like, why make it this? It's like, oh, can you wait till the next episode? No, I can't. Boom, there it is. Maybe do the cliffhanger at the end of the 5th episode so that, like, oh, what's going to happen? I got to wait a few months to see it. Now that makes sense. And they probably will do that. I think they did that with the Revelations. Sorry, I'm probably going to say Revelations interchangeably on accident here. But is the 3rd one going to be what? Revulsion or revolting? I don't know. Just being a dick. But anyways, yeah, so going in, like I said, that's my mentality. So I prefer an episodic episode of a TV show. But I know it's not going to happen. And I know there's a lot of you out there, it's like, oh, I don't like episodic episodes. I don't like Monsters of the Week. It's so dated or it's so antiquated. Whatever. I could see that from a young person's point of view. I can't see that from somebody of my age's point of view. Like, oh, it's so much more sophisticated when it's linear. It's fucking He-Man. Does it need to be that sophisticated? Does it have to be some, is it not? It's not high art. It's frickin' He-Man and the Masters of the Universe based on a children's toy line from the 80s. Does it have to be that sophisticated? I'm not saying don't, half-ass it, do a good job with what you got. What I'm just saying is you don't need to take it that seriously. It's just a He-Man cartoon. So, that said, things I really like about, and I like this about Revelations as well, and I like it about this one so far, and I assumed as much, is I think that the animation is nice. It looks good. It's flashy. I really don't like the CG Castle Grayskull. I wish they would have just, because like the one scene, like even in the opening, it's just like, okay, the drawbridge opens. It's just like, you can't just hand animate the drawbridge just opening on a hand animated. Do you have to have a 3D model for that? And even if you want to use a 3D model, use a 3D model and just you have the animator just trace over the 3D model on each sheet so it matches. I find it jarring when you get 3D animation mixed with hand animation slammed together. It's so jarring. So that part I don't like. However, I think they're drawn well. I think, obviously there's a lot more emotion in the face than the original, He-Man. That doesn't make it more sophisticated. It just makes it a little bit more believable, I guess. And believable in the sense of it takes me into the fantasy more. Remember, you don't have to make it so believable. It's like, oh, it's so realistic. Okay, it's not a realistic. None of the stuff going on in it is realistic. It might be based on, human emotions, That might be realistic. It might be, following story beats, But, I mean, outside of that, it's just like, it doesn't have to be that realistic. But I do like adding, I think, facial expressions. I mean, they had facial expressions in the old ones, but they're pretty cartoony. I think adding some facial expressions to emote the characters, I think, is good. But it also seems like they do it it's selective, too. Like, certain scenes they'll do it. Certain scenes are just, meh. That's fine. Again, you've got, and the thing is, it's just fun watching this. I like the villains. No spoiler here. Everybody knows the whole, motherboard thing is a thing in this. And I know, I guess now that I kind of see where they're going with it, I guess I kind of like it. Sort of. At first I was very turned off about it. I just thought it was like, is Kevin Smith just going to use every, cliched, joke about, and play on words and puns? I guess that's his style. But it's just like, there's a character that shows up in this episode, right? You've probably seen it from the trailer. Still not gonna spoil it, but there's a bad guy character shows up in the episode, right? And obviously, how many jokes have we made in the last 40-some years, or 40 years, or whatever, 39 years since this character came out? You know, it's just like, it's like he's going to tap into like the most base level haha jokes of that. I'm no stranger to puns in my stuff, and I guess I do that too. It's just, I don't know, for some reason it just came off just eye rolling a little bit. But again, it didn't take too much away from it. And again, it's whatever. And then the whole, the motherboard thing, I don't know. I find a lot of this stuff is just, I thought of a joke. I found something ironically funny, and therefore I'm going to exploit it and make an entire show about it. I don't know. I don't know if that's even an issue. I mean, it's not, like, to me, it's not a deal breaker, but it just makes me, it's just my knee-jerk reaction to rolling my eyes. And again, you can slam on me all you want, you can say you're an idiot, it's like blah, 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 but the thing is, I can't help but having visceral or, like, knee-jerk reactions to things. I'm so sick of people always telling you not to think a certain way, which is like, okay, hey, how about this? When somebody comes up behind you and hits you in the back of the head with a baseball bat and you didn't see it coming, right? You got to control yourself, man. You can't just fly off the handle and get angry about that. No. Yes, you can. If I'm still conscious, I can be as angry as I want to be about it, right? I'm still alive, I could be as angry as I want to be. Alive and conscious, I can be as angry as I want to be. I don't understand this guru mentality of people who are so enlightened and so in control of their own faculties that they can't have simple knee-jerk reactions to things that they find irritating. I don't understand it. It's just like, okay, are you that godly that you can't express your own displeasure in something, right? Because it shows that you're what? A human being? I don't understand people. Sorry, I didn't want to get into a rant on that. I'm trying to talk about things that I think I like about the show. Alright, well, I'm not going to play it, but I'm just going to put this up so you don't have to stare at me standing, talking. Here's the listing on Netflix. Here's the episodes. They've got, these are the first 5 episodes that are out. I watched the first one so far. I'm going to watch these 2 this evening. I really want to see her. I really want to see the Green Goddess. She doesn't look like she's going to show up until episode 4, which is kind of a shame. I was hoping she'd kind of show. I'd get a little bit more Green Goddess than just probably 1-2 episodes. But again, at least she's in this first part, so she should be throughout the second part. The first episode, even for Kings, second Ascension, third More Things in Heaven, and Eternia, the Dogs of War, the Spectre and the Sword. Okay. Overall, though, despite my issues with Kevin Smith, I think it's well written to a certain point. However, I'm trying to give the guy credit, but it's really hard when I just keep noticing things. There's a sequence in this, and again, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's an action sequence in this. I'm trying to remember how, I know, there's an action sequence in this that it gave me an issue. And I have this issue with a lot of action movies, especially when they need to draw out an action scene, and this does not happen in it, but this is my example from other movies. I remember watching, I think Van Helsing was the movie, and it's just like, she has this gun, the girl, the Van Helsing girl, whatever, she's got like this, I don't know, like a unlimited crossbolt shooter thing, or whatever, or maybe it's a bullet guy, a ballistic, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of gun, right? And she's shooting at the bad guy, right? Constantly shooting at the bad guy, and it's just like, nothing's happening, right? It's like, okay. But then she gets it knocked out of her hand, right? She's like, oh no, I've lost my gun. What do I do? It's just like, you've been shooting at it for the last 20 minutes with that thing and it hasn't done a goddamn thing. Who cares if you lost it? That doesn't happen in this. But I'm just saying, that's the kind of thing where there's a sequence in this happens where some characters fight and the character becomes like this, like another version of itself, and then the good guy. I don't want to spoil it. Well, the other character ends up, destroying it, or like, whatever. Looks like destroying it. You think, oh, they destroyed the character. And then the character comes back and it transforms into another thing that's not as impressive as the first thing. And somehow you're supposed to think, well, okay, well, what? you just destroyed the first thing that it transformed into. Why is transforming into something else, right? Especially something that's not as imposing as the first thing that just got defeated. It's a weird action. It's just a weird thing that I just picked up right off the bat. It's like, that's bad storytelling, or it's bad direction of action, or however you want to put it. I mean, it is storytelling, but obviously when it comes to action, action's pretty, it goes to a different kind of realm than just, dialogue and exposition, that type of thing. But yeah, so I don't know, that kind of threw me out of the way. Outside of that, outside of the whole, making these like pedestrian jokes on things that we've been joking about for the last 40 years, it's just like, I mean, it's like calling, this doesn't happen in the episode too, but it's just like, okay, so obviously 40 years ago this stuff started, 42 years ago now, I guess. But, imagine like, Skeletor, it's like, hey, how many boneheads jokes, how many, I guess they made those jokes back in the day, sure. But I mean, how many bonehead jokes, or how many boner jokes, or how many whatever skull-headed jokes can you possibly come up with? It's just like, I think it's kind of, we get the point. He's got a skull for head, right? Ha 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 ha. There's another character that shows up in this, and they've got a certain attribute, and it's just like, I get it. Ha 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 ha. Again, it sounds like I really hate this, but I don't hate it yet. And I'm not necessarily in love with it yet either. I'm kind of on the fence still. It's the first episode. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to watch it, give it my honest opinion. And I'm being, like, again, my honest opinion. You can like that honest opinion, or you can not like that honest opinion. You can, I think somebody called my, my videos pointless. Call them pointless. Yeah, it's still my right to, this is a free platform, right? I can get on the soapbox and I can say whatever I want, and you can either listen or not listen, right? But I still have the right to do so. Pointless may be, right? I guess all of this, it's just entertainment, right? Isn't it all pointless in the end? It's like, I guess the point is it's supposed to give you pleasures, to make you happy, to entertain you, right? That's the point. Okay, so, but it's still pointless. If I'm saying something that seems pointless and some people are entertained, isn't it not pointless at that point? Because it had a point at some point. It entertained somebody, or somebody found a reason to, to watch it. I guess it's not pointless. I guess is life pointless really in the long run? Isn't just life in general pointless? Right? You're gonna die anyways. You're born and you're dead. I was going to quote an Iron Maiden song there for a minute. But anyways, I guess it's all pointless. Sorry. But anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. I've been looking forward to this too. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I learned it was coming out, and they gave a date and everything, I was like, I was glad when I discovered it. I'm glad that it wasn't that far out, and I was like, I'm pretty excited to see it. I mean, like I said, I love Masters of the Universe since 1982, and I always have. Again, I didn't like certain things as they went along. I was really only into it from 82 to 84. But I did watch the movie, and I did like hearing Meg Foster's voice in this, although she sounds very old. It's like Darth Vader, with James Earl Jones. You get these actors and actresses that have aged, and it's just like you hear them do their shtick or do their voices, even in animation. More so in animation because you can't see the real person. It's just how old they sound, and it's just like, oof. Like I said, I don't. Again, talking about, you're born, you're dead. I just find it depressing when I see, people aging, because they know. I've got, one parent left who's aging. I'm aging. My family, my friends, we're all aging. A lot of the people I liked are all aging, and it's a fact of life, but it's just like doesn't make it any easier, you know. Uh, so there's that. But it seems good. It also seems like the way it's set up seems um, very reactionary to a lot of the negative criticism for Revelations. It seems like it does it just got that air of it. Maybe it's just an air that's there just because it is it isn't. It doesn't actually seem like that. But to me, it just seems like they've done a few things in it so far already that are reactionary to some of the bad press, and they're kind of righting the ship, which is, that's understandable. It makes sense. Why if you get, I said, if the ship goes off the rails and the train goes off the rails, and it's detriment to the success of the show, maybe you should listen to the people who had issues with it. Maybe self-correct. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. I have to do it all the time. Trust me. You don't know how many times I've had to self-correct my own stuff to keep my to keep my customers and fan base happy. It happens all. I do it with this show too. I kind of have to self-correct sometimes. I can't go too far into the weeds and make a bunch of videos that nobody cares about, because I have to do at least a few things that'll bring in the viewers. Otherwise, it is pointless at that point. It's just me just using this as a cathartic vehicle, which it kind of is anyways. But no, that part aspect, everything else seems like the what's going on so far in the show seems fine. Obviously, if you know the kind of the this episode specifically, if you know what happens in it, you read anything about it or watched anything about it, and a thing happens, and that's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the this season, or whatever you want to call it. Kind of like in the first one, something happens and then it kind of sets the tone for the rest of it. But you know what? Also, I'm glad there was that character, Tila's friend. I can't remember her name is. And I think everybody had a problem with her in the first one, and I'm glad that they didn't just axe her. I had nothing wrong with the character herself. I thought the character's fine. I think she was appealing looking. I thought she looked cool. But I can see why people were just kind of, the way they were about it, just because, it seemed like you're sidelining the main character for these side characters. So I'm glad that in this one, it seems like the main character is center of attention, but they didn't just axe, that character. They, sure, they didn't really sideline her either, because she does have a part, even in the first episode. So that's nice to see. Like I said, I don't think that there's a certain point where you've just got to do what you do, and the fans be damned. To an extent, I wouldn't get self-indulgent with that. I wouldn't use that as a carte blanche, blank check to just do whatever the hell you want, despite the fans. But I think that there's certain things, if you want to put something in a show that you feel strong about, and it's not going to sink the ship, but it's still gonna, it might ruffle some people's feathers. Go for it. Like I said, I wouldn't use it as a blank check and just do whatever you want and totally, screw the pooch. But I would also not be hesitant to put some of that stuff in there. So there's things about that I can't fault Smith for. Like I said, I think he's a dude. I mean, he's a dude. Obviously, he likes the stuff. I mean, he's been liking this. Some people think he's a shill now. Sure, he might be. Whatever. But I think, honestly, the guy likes this stuff. Maybe he doesn't like He-Man, like he said in this thing. You know, he was never a He-Man fan, right? But, hey, if you're a person who does work, right, I got to think about it my same situation, right? Hey, I do this type of work, right? It's akin to, say, this story or this property or whatever, right? But I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Let's say it's a character that somebody wants me to do that I'm not necessarily a fan of, right? But if they throw it in your lap, right, and say, I want you to do this character because I like your other stuff, and here's some money, you know, you got a job now to do, you kind of have to do it. I mean, you can turn it down, sure, but, you know, if you want to, and obviously he wanted to take the job, you know, I'm sure he's not hurting for money either, so he probably took the job because he honestly wanted to take the job. You know, is it his agenda to destroy the property? I don't think so. Some people might view it that way. You can't help it. I mean, no matter what he said when he said he's going to make this, it's just like a continuation of the Filmation show. I think I understand what he was talking about like there, and I think people took it way too literal. You knew damn well, unless they go and they dig up, or they just take all of the original show and they use it as a template to make the newer episodes, including the art style, everything. If that was the case, which you know they're not going to do, I would have done that, but no, you know they're not going to do it. You know it's going to be different, right? And so it is different. And it's got a modern feel to it, and you know, and like I said, I have issues with a lot of the modern stuff. It's just certain things I like, certain things I don't like. But you know what? I guess if I went back to the '80s, and there was certain things I liked and certain things I didn't like then too. There was, like I said, I've never been a huge Thundercats fan, right? So I never really got crazy about the Thundercats. So there's that, you know. There's a few other shows that are considered super popular back in the 80s, you know, back in my time when I was younger, and they're okay. I'm just not that, they're not that great. And then say maybe some of the ones I like, people are like, yeah, I don't really like the show either. So it's the same thing now. There's certain things out that I like, and there's certain things out that I don't like. This one is in the ballpark of something that I like, right? So I should like aspects of it. Doesn't mean I'll have to like the whole thing 100%. And you want to know something, honestly? So let me just check the time. I own them. I own all the Filmation episodes. And I've sat there and I've tried to watch them all back to back. And as much as I used to love that show, and as much as I even still love it today, I can't sit and watch all those episodes back to back. And I have to take that show in chunks when I'm in the mood for it. And I can say this for anything, whether it's G.I. Joe, whether it's Transformers, you know, you name it. I've got to be in the mood for it, and I can't just sit there and just endlessly watch it over and over again and just, you know, and just love it. You know, there's times in my life, you know, I still think that the Star Wars movies are probably my favorite movies of all time, but there are times in my life where it's just like, you know what, enough of the fucking Star Wars. I'm just sick of it. I don't even have any interest in watching any of the original movies. And this is before the prequels came out. I was just like, you know what, like I said, in the late 80s, I was just like, you know, I'm kind of done with Star Wars. I don't know, I wasn't really done with it. It's just like, I like it, but I mean, it's like, I remember watching it again, like in like 88, 89 on videotape, and I was watching it, and I couldn't even make it through the original first Star Wars. I'm just like, I'm just bored. So, you know, so this show, you know, like I said, can I watch this right now, currently? Can I watch this show? I mean, enthusiastic to watch this show, then go back and watch the Filmations episodes? Yes. Do I think they're as good as the Filmations episode? That's not the right question. Because they're not the same thing. Is it animated better? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it's animated better. Take Tila, for example. I like the look of the old Tila from Filmations? I like Filmations Tila a lot. I don't really like the modern Tila. So there's that. I would say Sorcerer, same thing. But like characters like, especially some of the bad guys, like, maybe not Beastman. I like the old Beastman better. Let's just take He-Man in general. Do I like old He-Man better than new He-Man as far as the look of the character in Filmations as opposed to the look of the character in this? Yeah, I guess. I just find that he just seemed like a different person. I don't know. I guess I didn't answer the question. I guess the question is, do I like him better than this He-Man? I'd say yeah, but I don't know. I say that with hesitation because it's just like the shows are so. I mean, they're they're so. I'm just gonna keep saying 40 years. It's easy to say they're 40 years apart from each other, right? Did something look good in the 40s, right, and look better in the 80s? Yeah. Does Star Wars look better than Metropolis? Yeah. We're talking about a huge gulf of time here. So, I guess going forward, I'm going to watch the episodes. I'll probably not do a video again until I've seen them all and give you my follow-up opinion. So this will be like my part one, I guess, or whatever I'm going to call it. I guess my spoiler-free review. I guess if I do the follow-up episode after I watch all 5 episodes, I'll probably do some spoilers because hopefully people have seen it by that time. And again, if you don't want to, I'm telling you now, and I'll tell you when I make the other video. If you don't want spoilers, then don't watch the video. It's that simple. I don't know, I get irritated when people make comments and stuff. I encourage you to make comments, right? I want you to make comments, but it doesn't. Again, knee-jerk reaction. It doesn't keep me from thinking. Why would you say? It's like saying like, I can't stand this He-Man, right? Well, don't watch it then. But I want to watch it. Well, you said you can't stand it. Why would you watch it if you can't stand it? There's your logic. If you don't want to see this He-Man show and you think, oh God, without even seeing it, I hate it, can't stand it, hate Kevin Smith, they destroyed my childhood. All right, you can keep thinking that way. So just don't watch it. How about that? Don't try to cash in and make a bunch of YouTube videos on it and try to get a bunch of clicks so you can get a bunch of money, right? So you can sit there and endlessly bash on it because that's what people love to hear. Because you've got an echo chamber in there, and it's financially benefiting you. Don't do that. But at the flip side, I guess you have the right to do it, so have at thee. I just think that's pointless. Well, I guess it's not pointless. I guess the point is to make money. So I guess it isn't pointless. If that's your avenue to make money, whatever, dude. Go ahead and do it. Like I said, I am probably the first, before this whole whatever you call it, all this crazy hype, this I don't want to say the word hyperbolic, just shitting on everything just because it's fun to do and it seems to get clicks. I don't know. I personally had no faith in a lot of people doing things with properties that I liked anyways before that. So I probably would have been the first person to be right there and be bashing on things. But again, I've changed. And, I've gotten older. And like I said, I mean, if I'm going to worry about whether or not He-Man Revolutions is destroying my childhood, This childhood's been destroyed a long time ago. You know why? Because I've gotten old. So my childhood doesn't, it's been ruined by age in general. I'm worried that, this show is going to somehow, ruin my childhood experience with He-Man in the 80s. Really? I don't know. Like I said, I find those to be the hyperbolic statements that are just there to just generate a reaction. Hey, is it, like I said, is it as good as the old stuff? I guess it's all up to interpretation. Do I think, if you want my opinion, do I think it's better than Filmation's He-Man? At the moment it is. But maybe I'll watch it and I'll be like, I really don't like it. Maybe I'll watch He-Man Filmations again and somehow get a second wind and like, yeah, I'm really digging this. It's all about mood, whether or not I'm in the mood for something each day. And if I'm in the mood to watch Kevin Smith Netflix He-Man, then I'm in the mood to watch it. If I'm in the mood to watch Filmation's He-Man, I'm in the mood to watch it. Am I in the mood to watch Disney Marvel or Disney Star Wars? Well, maybe. At that time, maybe I'm in the mood for it. Again, it doesn't mean you can't have negative reactions to stuff. I guess that's part of the watching experiences. You are a human being with a mind, and you're reacting to what you're seeing on the screen and what you're hearing, the audios and the visuals. You might roll your eyes here. You might cheer in some spots. You might shed a tear, the tear-jerking scene. It might happen. Even if it's like, oh, I hate that show. Yeah, but I was pretty emotional in that scene. It made me pretty sad. I responded to it as a human being. So I guess in the long run, the show, it entertained you. And I was entertained by the first episode. I'm hoping to be entertained by tonight's 2 episodes. Hey, if I get to episode 2 tonight after dinner and I just start getting bored and start checking my phone and suddenly I'm off on a rabbit hole on Amazon looking for shit that I shouldn't buy, then yeah, maybe the show's not that great. But if I watch it to the end and go, okay, let's click on number 3. All right, maybe I'll save 4 and 5 for this weekend, savor a little bit, then hey, I must be liking it. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Green Goddess. I don't know why, outside of obvious reasons. But I don't know, I kind of like the character now, and I didn't know if I liked the character, but now I kind of like the character, and I want to see how she's portrayed in this, and maybe I like the character more, maybe I'll like the character less, who knows, let's see. But that hasn't happened yet. So, alright, I guess this one's going to be a shorter video. I guess there's the... I've got to see the rest of the show to, talk more about it. So go watch it. If you got Netflix, watch it. See what you think. And like I said, give me comments. Like I said, I might get annoyed by your comments, but that doesn't mean don't make them. Make them anyways. Tell me that the stuff I do is pointless. Tell me that the stuff I do is stupid. You watched my video, so I got a view out of you. I guess that's what it is. I guess with taking the whole hyperbolic clickbait, I guess I'm trying to capitalize on it too. But I'm not yet, but maybe in the future I can start capitalizing on it. So yeah, it's what I think. So I'll end you with that. Like I said, go ahead and watch my videos. I guess I got a few minutes I could just talk about real quick what my stuff's coming forward. So I got more best of the 84s. More celebrations of 40 years of since 1984. I've got some comic book facsimile hauls. Did I do that one already? Did I post it? I don't think I posted it yet. Maybe I did already. I've got what else coming up? I think I'm gonna do. I found the JCPenney's 1984 Christmas catalog, so I think I'm gonna do a walkthrough on that, and I might do a walkthrough on the Montgomery Ward's one. We'll just compare the 3 with the Sears one that I already did to see kind of how they differ, or what they're promoting all the same stuff. Remember, I'm really specifically looking at the toy section, but I will look at the other sections as well. So, all right, I'll leave you with that, and I'm going to go pretty soon here and get some food. I got to finish a couple of things, but I will see you on the next video. All right, bye-bye.